Can you believe that this 2-year run for the Cincinnati Bengals, including a Super Bowl loss, is the best 2-year run in team history?
Wow.
Crazy,
In
huh?
terms of wins?
I know it's only 2
Wow.
years, but it just shows you how things have just turned. And it, of course, starts a quarterback, which is the NFL.
It's always where it goes.
Gotta have it.
That's the NFL.
Gotta. And so let's talk about offensively, because we don't have to talk about Joe Burrow, that's for sure. But we have to start with Joe Mixon, because what appeared to be, that's going to get taken care of. I don't even know if I wrote about it in the Arled's guide, because it just seemed like an old kind of story.
Yep.
It's now a new story again. This is now becoming a little interesting that Joe Mixon might be dealing with some legal issues.
Yep. Yeah, it was recharged for aggravated menacing road rage. I don't know what the actual misdemeanor. Yeah, sorry. I want to get the actual. I'm not a legal guy, so I don't want to get the terminology wrong. Aggravated menacing, a misdemeanor of the first degree. So we're not looking at jail time, but you are looking at a potential penalty. And they lost. Samaje Perine, I don't know if everyone fully appreciates what he did for that offense last year. He was their number one guy in yards per carry last year. He also caught 42 passes. And every time they needed like a big play, big first down, a goal line touchdown, he was the guy. You know, it's almost like Mixon had more yards, got more touches. But I thought Perine was more important to that offense last year, especially down the stretch. And he's gone. You know, so that depth chart behind Mixon is missing a piece, and now you're saying you might be missing Mixon, or at least get him getting penalized. That and tight end, it's hard to figure out which is a bigger need on this offense.
Well, apparently, because this happened recently, is that they've signed Irv Smith Jr.
Right.
So that will hopefully take care of the tight end position. Maybe.
You know,
it doesn't mean that they can't draft another guy, because as we've talked about, there's such a deep class of tight ends. Why would you not want to grab another tight end?
Yeah, I mean, I think this offense, this is the thing. You know, they've been rotating tight ends since Zach Taylor's been there. It might just be a philosophy thing.
Yes.
Right? They might just view it as like, hey, give us the body that's good enough and we'll make it work. And if that's the case, they won't go tight end in round one. But you know, if you do value the tight end and you do think you can get a Travis Kelce type value out of a Luke Musgrave, or provide your shaky offensive line with a Darnell Washington type, that it makes a lot of sense on paper to let one of those guys be the every downer, and then let Irv Smith be your rotational guy, which is what he's been his entire career anyway.
And by the way, in our second mock draft, we did have Washington, Darnell Washington, going to the Bengals.
It makes sense. It does make sense.
So that's because hey, let's take a look at this history. 2020, and I'm talking about who their number one tight ends were. 2020, it was Sample, who they were hoping was going to be their long-term answer. 2021, it was Azuma. Last year, it was Hurst. So
1 year guy.
Yeah,
1 year rental.
That's it.
Yep.
They're just and it also maybe answers your question as far as, do they really value it that much? It's just, all right, now Irv Smith will be our guy this year. Then we'll move on. You know, so that's something to consider. Is that they may just be content with Irv Smith being the guy this year.
It's a 1 year deal too. Irv Smith's contract is 1 year for $1.7 million, so it's nothing. Yep. It's side money almost. So if it's a philosophy thing, they won't go tight end. But maybe they made that signing saying, hey, we see our guy in this draft and we're going to get him. We'll see.
But no question, the running back position, because the other thing you have to consider, even though Mixon, the other thing is to be involved with this personal stuff, that has to be a warning sign, because what you can't do is neglect it. And then you're into the regular season, something else happens to Joe Mixon, and you're going to go, well, hey, dude, you were warned. It's your own fault. So I don't think that they're just going to go after we'll go after another kind of part-time running back. I look at them actually going after somebody that could be effective and maybe even be their new number one running back.
Absolutely. I mean, Mixon, this has been his rap since his days at Oklahoma. He's never been a clean player off the field. There's always been a problem with him. At some point, you hit that third strike and you're out. And there's nothing on this team that screams number one back, and there's a lot of them in this class. So
who give me some options, because they pretty much draft at the end of every round. So give me some options, starting with late first round.
Late first round, I like Jahmyr Gibbs' fit in this offense. You'd have to really be relying on Chris Evans to be the power back, because Jahmyr Gibbs will not be that. He's more of a speed back receiver. Work. Yeah, so I think you'll have to complement him with. I mean, you can get these guys. You might see Ezekiel Elliott coming to town if they really have to get rid of Joe Mixon and let one of these kids complement.
Hasn't he been talking about the Bengals as a possibility? Yeah.
Yep. You look at day 2, you're looking at Zach Charbonnet. I think that'd be a great fit for him. UCLA, Tank Bigsby from Auburn, Kendre Miller from TCU, Eric Gray from Oklahoma. All of those guys are, in my opinion, year one contributors, and you can get all of them on day 2.
Yeah, Elliott, I think he might be in one of those holding patterns like this. Let me see where I think I could go. That
wait for an opportunity to arise.
Yeah. And
skip training camp.
Yeah. I heard the Jets were one of his options, and I was like, I mean, okay.
Yeah. You might have made that up.
Yeah, I don't think so, because the Jets are not going to pay you when they can just go to a rookie undrafted free agent as a number 2 guy this year. So it doesn't make much sense. All right. Moving on offensively, that offensive line, in our first mock draft, we had a center. We had the number 1 center going to Cincinnati, and that's still, I think, a possibility. But Karras has been a nice stopgap for them. They like him enough. So, they might be okay there. The Orlando Brown signing was huge. It also gives them the opportunity because, look, Jonah Williams, he's also talking about wanting to move on. And if Jonah Williams leaves, well, Collins probably just slides in. And you have Jackson Carman, who probably deserves a chance to start, because I think he's earned those potential opportunities. So I think on the outside, I don't really look at that as a major issue. Volson came in last year, Kappa obviously. So I think if they just added a center at some point, doesn't have to start right away. If you want to go with Karras, fine, but maybe bring in a center that could start for you, maybe no later than 24.
Yeah, I like it. I like waiting till day 3 for the offensive line in general for this team. They've done a good job. This was the kryptonite of this team for 2 years in a row, and they've done a really nice job, especially with pro personnel acquisitions. Jonah Williams, I do think he's going to be playing elsewhere. It's just hard to get rid of decent offensive line talent. He's nothing special, but everyone's looking for more offensive linemen, and the second an injury or 2 pop up, you're going to wish you had him. So I think they're only going to ship him out of town if the offer is truly fair.
Yeah, and I would think teams, because like you said, they want not only young offensive linemen, but versatile young offensive linemen. And even though he hasn't lived up to his status, who knows? Maybe a switch.
He can play.
Yeah, it could happen.
He can play.
I think they'll get a good offer. It's just a matter of which team. And they also could use, without question, they need a 4th wideout. They have to bring in that guy. So, because we saw what happened this year when there were some injuries and some of the top guys missed a game here, a game there. They were playing Trenton Irvin and Trent Taylor. They can't do that and expect to have much success in the long term. It's okay, a game here, a game there, but if one of those guys goes down, as much as they use 3 wide receiver combos, they must add another receiver.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see, what is the T. Higgins situation going to be? I mean, this guy might not be there that much longer. I don't know if they're going to be able to afford him because they have 2 big paydays coming up.
Yeah,
with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
So
you can't keep them all. You can't.
Right. You can't. It's a good problem to have. So, getting a receiver in for a potential injury situation this year is part of it, but I think it would just be as equally important for next year and beyond, the year after that.
On defense, you take a look at maybe what their biggest need would be, and I look at the edge, because when you look at the pass rushing right now, it's Trey Hendrickson, and that's it. Sam Hubbard is even though he'll throw a few sacks in every year, that's not his specialty. He's not a big edge rush guy. And Osai could be one day, but you still don't know what you got there. So I think on defense, I would go edge rush. Could very well be their number one need.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a tie between that and safety, but they did make safety moves in free agency that filled the holes that they lost in Von Bell and Jesse Bates. They used a first rounder last year on Dax Hill. So, yeah, you point to the edge first. And Osai's the wild card. You know, he missed his rookie season with an injury. And last year, he was a non-factor until down the stretch. And 20 of his 32 pressures on the year came in the last 6 games. So, and then, you know, he had that terrible penalty late in the year that, you know, that's how he's being remembered right now. But I think prior to that, you take that penalty out, his name started to pop up often down the stretch in the playoffs. So, I mean, it hurt, or it would not hurt to bring in another edge presence in case he's not the guy, right? He's on a bad wheel already. We haven't seen a season of production yet. And like you said, Hubbard's it's a run defending DN that complements Hendrickson very well, but can never have enough pass rushers, and right now there's a couple question marks behind their top guy.
Look, they're going to also – Nick Scott, you might look at that and go, well, that can't be the long-term answer, right? But you know what? That's what the Bengals feel. Bengals like him. You think he's going to be a good fit with Dax Hill. They drafted Anderson last year. You talked about some of those additions. So, yeah, I think the safety positions are fine as far as they're concerned. I think the corner positions are fine, but just like the wide receiver positions, if there's an injury to any of those guys, then there's a big drop-off. So depth, at some point, don't have to be early, but I wouldn't be surprised maybe even in the 3rd or 4th round if they added another corner. And we talked about this last year or on the channel about Cam Taylor-Britt. Really like Cam Taylor-Britt. I was a little bit surprised he got drafted in the 2nd round, to be honest with you. But his combination as far as size and everything, I was like, you know what? This guy has a shot, and they like him too. And he could turn out to be their number one corner in the future.
Absolutely. I think it might be by the end of 2023, he might surpass Uzi from the free agent signing from last year. So, yeah, I think that he's going to be a very good player. They're set at corner before injuries. But, you know, that depth chart, Sidney Jones, they just brought in. I like that as a depth piece. But other than him, I think both safety and corner need depth.
And I think they have, I might be wrong, but I think they might have the best pair of young kickers in the league. Not too many people know Drew Chrisman, but he had such a great college career, and you just knew it was a matter of time before he got the job. And we all know what McPherson can do, so they're set in my mind. It's a great. I was really upset that the Jets didn't go after Chrisman, and I was shocked that no one did. I mean, how could you not? 7th round even, you couldn't get, you allowed Drew Chrisman to stay like local and, pick his team. So, hey, I think they got a great combo there.
Yeah, I think they're set there for a long time.